Brandon Ocampo, wait. Hello everybody. Okay, so that's it. Alison Mendoza, hello. If I'm not mistaken. Yan. Luz Biminda. Okay, Alison Mendoza, hello po. Okay, so hello. Michael Soon, hello. Michael, so are you the same as Michael Jackson? Melanie Mendez, hello there. And Maria Marquez, hello. So magandang good morning to good morning to everyone. Benji Kapala, hello Benji. Alison Mendoza, Luz Biminda, Michael Soon, Melanie Mendez, Maria Marquez, Alison Borja, hello, good morning, and we'll just need to minutes up. Jerry Zaragoza, you know what, I have a co-teacher, I used to have a co-leader back in my youth ministry days by the name of Jesus Zaragoza, but because she is inside the church and we do not want to, and normal Christians do not want to change their names from Jesus, even if their given name is Jesus or Jesus and things, and even Yeshua, they will change it into other names, like although that's I just noticed that a person can, if that's the case, why not name them at Joshua. But anyway, so much for that. So good morning everybody, welcome to the mentally random. It's me, the mentally random Ian Along, and hello Noitebs, hello, and how are you? Kumusta? Kumusta? Good, great. No attempts. Welcome to Kumu. And is it your first time to hear the live stream? And yeah, ayos naman ako. So this is my midweek thoughts. Okay. Midweek thoughts. Kasi midweek, kaya ako nabaging midweek thoughts. It's because it's midweek. Wednesday, Thursday, it's considered as middle of the week. And normally, for those of you who are not familiar with my live stream, it's usually built on public speaking. I began as a public speaking advocate, as an advocate for developing public speakers or aspiring public speakers. And the catch is, unlike most public speakers who had exude that top par public speaking skills. In my case, I have shown my flaws my vulnerability, my humanity, if I may allow it, to show to you that anybody can be a public speaker as long as their ethos, pathos, logos are intact. So ethos, your logos is what you know. Pathos is how do you project your emotion to others. Can you visit my YouTube channel, Noitabs Blog? Sure. If I can, what time? So anytime, right? Anytime, Noitabs. Sure, I will visit your YouTube channel, and if I would subscribe. So what is your point of interest, Noitabs? So, okay, what is your point of interest, Noitabs? It's my food and travel. Nice. My wife and I, although I'm usually a homebody, but my wife loves to travel, hence I can be of good service. No, I love traveling, but I do not usually the one initiating the travel. Let's just say I'm a good travel companion, but I'm not an initiator. And I'm not an initiator when it comes to travel because I tend to be laid back and things like that. I tend to sit back and actually just enjoy the view. Went to Chicago, cool. What's the temperature, by the way? What's the temperature there? Are there still coming the cold wave thing? Chicago pa yung aking mga vlog. Okay. Sige. Now, for the night times, no, so since I'm talking about public, I jump start with the term public speaking. Just this morning, a thought occurred to me about about emotional security, about being emotionally secured, or being hindi naman, it's not really gwapong-gwapo or bilib na bilib sa sarili. It's more of the emotional security. And there are four things that I wanted to point out about emotional security, because normally this is the pitfall, one of the pitfalls why people, despite their talents, despite their intelligence, despite their talents, hesitate to have that speaking time, or to hesitate to have their stage time. And the reason behind that is because of insecurity. The bottom is insecurity. I will not dwell with other insecurity and things like that, but I just want to dwell on emotional security, the very reason, one of the pitfalls why good, well-intent people hesitate to deliver the speech. It's because it is somewhat of developing your ethos or ethos. So, Chicago pa yung aking mga vlog. Oh, so, sige, I will, na-follow na kita dito. I thank you, Noitabs. I will also subscribe to your YouTube. I will check if I have two accounts kasi on Gmail. One is my university account and the other is my personal account. I might as well use the personal account, the personal account, because I might confuse you with another classmate or a professor or a professor who I usually engage in my Gmail account. Diba, YouTube is usually connected with the Gmail account, right? And although I used to also do video blogging on YouTube inside my car, well, although I decided to lay low and choose Kumu as my I choose as a platform. Although it's a crazy thing because Kumu is a startup app and Facebook, YouTube are okay. Kaka-monetize ko lang last week. Oh, sa YouTube po ba kayo nag-monetize or dito? Yes, okay. That's also another interest of mine, how to monetize, not for the sake of mainly to monetize it, but because it's just an opportunity that since I wanted to talk. Obviously, I wanted to talk, I wanted to give my contents and all, and at the same time, earn from it. I'm very much willing to do so, and also although it's not the main thing, it's just secondary on my part. Kumbaga parang incidental. Kasi sayang two birds in one stone din. So, yun nga. Going back, public speaking is, the reason bakit marami ang nag-hesitate, the reason why people are hesitant to deliver their first speech, either it is on a formal gathering or in society that you need to speak in front, is because part of them has this they do not have this they have this low self-esteem. They have this low self-esteem and low emotional security. Some people project themselves as very confident just to mask their emotional security. Although incidentally, I can tackle that. I will talk about that today. Emotional security, so you cannot trace it immediately. People will say that he wants to be famous, he wants to be the main act, mukha siyang sikat and ganon, so therefore mataas ang insecurity niyan. It's not automatically like that. This is the reason why I will mention these four things, simple things lang naman, four things to ponder on how to develop your emotional security. And first is in order to develop your emotional security. This is not in random, or this is not in order of intensity. No, these are just random. You can follow one to the other. First is build your craft. You should first build your craft. The reason why emotional insecurity is there is because we are seeing other people with their current craft. We look at other people, and not knowing their and they have their craft, and we feel that we don't have it, and we must develop our own craft. Now how to develop it by looking. I'm sure for example, if you're working, you have your own sets of crafts. Sometimes you do not only have one talent, you have many talents, or even more than two. Now you develop that craft, focus on that, and if you're familiar with Warren Buffett, one of the richest man in the world, and one of the richest man in the world. His secret, because why he became rich is because there are some opportunities. There's some opportunities right and left, and the bricks are on him one way or the other. Hello, May Rose. I'm talking about emotional security. But he developed his craft. He is in the... I have to go muna. Sleep na ako. Salamat po. We'll see you again. Thank you, Night. Good night or good day. Yes, good night, I guess. And build your craft. Develop your craft. You should in developing your craft, you should begin in yourself. For example, but what if your craft, for example, you may ask, what if your craft is more on the person that you're looking up to? I will deal with that later. But for now, you should build your craft, you develop it. And when you say, sorry for that, when you say you develop your craft, meaning you have your sets of skills, you have it. I'm going back to Warren Buffett. He did go to a business that he's not slightly familiar with. Warren Buffett didn't go digital. Kasi that some older people, as we grow old, we tend to feel insignificant. When we tend to feel insignificant or sense of insecurity when we feel that we are being replaced because times are changing, things are getting modern. Not Warren Buffett. He just continued doing his craft, and which he is good at, and his craft just happens to be still going on, and that's the reason why he's still one of the richest man in the world. Although it's still on the discussion, it has so many reasons, but what he did, what we can learn from him, is that he focused on his craft. And how in our case, we develop our own craft. We have it in our own selves. It's impossible. I always put Warren Buffett as an example because when he delivered his speech when he was a kid, he feels that his speech will be insignificant. He feels that his speech will be insignificant simply because he feels that his speech is insignificant because he thinks that his craft, because he doesn't know what to talk about. Some kids will talk about their life as this and that, something worth listening. He feels that what he just did is talk about shoe polish. I always talk about this in my previous speeches. And he talks about shoe polish, and guess what? People listen to him. Why? Because he's very familiar with the craft of shoe polish, on how to apply shoe polish, what types of shoes does a particular shoe polish goes into. Actually, he may think that it is simple, but it's not, because in other people, it is not. Take it, for example, in my personal case. I've shined on my shoes not knowing that boots, there is, I have one boot-like shoes in which I applied a different kind of shoe polish. And I was reminded that it has a specific polish. Good thing it did damage because it was just the first time. But I will not shine it again using that typical wax. Just like that. And yet, because of that, Warren Bennis became not really popular, but people began listening to him because he built his craft. Another thing to indicate your emotional security is to establish your emotional security, is to remind yourself what your limitations are and embrace it. Embrace your limitation. I'm not saying to go with mediocrity. I didn't say that you go with mediocrity since I am like this, period. It's not like that. It's like this. You try to think things over and over again. Like, for example, when you are in a school project, and you're trying to develop something, you want to come up with something, but you are on a dead end, and at the end you begin to ask questions. You may have, and even if your questions based on your own self, you formulated it well, you feel that it is still lacking substance, the question still lacks substance. At the end, you remind yourself that it's okay. People have limitations. Remind yourself that you have your own limits, you have your own limitations. And frustration is normal, but get over it. Know your limits. Know your limits, and do not believe on the that's a reason why, if you are following reading between lines, unleash your potential. So that means people have certain potentials, and once you unleash it, you didn't unleash it perfectly. You just unleash your full potential. When you say your full potential, everybody has it. Everybody has their own sets of potentiality just waiting to burst out. But at the same time, once it is burst out, know your limits. Like, for example, if you are into the business and the brake is on you, things like that, know your limits, when to stop. For example, if you're working out and you felt that, wow, I can lift this weight, oh, I can work out this way. But you need to remind yourself from time to time that at the end, oops, my body still has its limits. Remind yourself, don't be now when you see other people, okay, I will deal with that very much later. It is very much related also. And number 3, first, build your craft. Second, know your limits. Third is this: take it a day at a time, wisely. Take it a day at a time, wisely. So, I'm not saying to go with mediocrity. No. What I'm trying to say is, we are given 24 hours a day. Our brain and capacity split in such a way with the good potential, at the same time limits. And because you have limits to your energy, time, money, and things like that, you should take it a day at a time. And if other people, again, going back to other people, I will deal with that later. So take it a day at a time, wisely. You should remind yourself from time to time that there is still tomorrow. Always remember there is still tomorrow. Now, the only thing that will, and besides, it's pointless to worry. It's pointless to worry very much about tomorrow, because you do not know what tomorrow will bring. Regardless of how good you are, regardless of the preparation, the projection you have. And going to the realm of public speaking, going to the realm of public speaking, when we yes, projections are good and it makes you prepare. Mayros, how are you, by the way? Okay, Mayros is not allowed. Wala na pala si Mayros. Okay. So yun, take it a day at a time, wisely. So meaning, you spend your energy in something meaningful, and don't invite toxicity comes in. Okay, when it comes to the topic of toxicity, this is another story. Toxic people, sometimes toxic people has a very good way of projecting it to others, leaving them contaminants. And at the end, these contaminated individuals appear to be really toxic, but the reason why they are toxic to begin with, they appear toxic, is because some people have projected it, and this plays it on them. And don't be contaminated. Don't allow yourself to be contaminated. Take it a day at a time. Take it a day at a time. And ultimately, which leads me, all of these three cannot be well produced, well executed if we keep on comparing. The hinders is on comparison. Why? You build your craft. You build your craft because you want to raise on other people. The business establishment, that's a pitfall of a business establishment, and I cannot blame them for doing so. And I am part of a business enterprise, a business corporation. I am part of a business corporation as well. It's one of those necessary evil. Is the environmental scanning or analysis, meaning you analyze your environment, the opportunity that goes in the business, and also you compare. That's the thing, you compare with competitors, because your competitors, if you don't compare with your competitors, if you don't make a comparison, or if you don't compare with competitors, you ended up not knowing what they're up to, leaving you in your surprise. They went ahead of you. And this is the necessary evil. Unfortunately, this also leads us to certain expectations. And this leads us to a lack of emotional security. The tendency there is we develop the lack of emotional security on that matter. Because while building our craft, we begin comparing with other entities, other people. For example, we compete. Hello, Albert Osinada. How are you? Welcome to Kumu. Albert Osinada. And cool name, Albert Osinada. So yun. So don't compare it. That's the actually, if you will build the outline on this, it will be the bottom line is hello, Ron Saura. How are you? If you build this on the outline of 4, build your craft, know your limits, take it a day at a time wisely, it will still boils down to the bottom line is do not compare. We have our own journey, we have our own life, we have our own phase, and I cannot also blame people for not comparing, because the job description told you so. Business establishments need comparison to the stats. Last year, hello Miss Annalyn, how are you, Miss Annalyn? I'm talking about today. I'm talking about emotional security. This is in connection with developing one's ethos in the realm of public speaking. By developing a sense of emotional security, I started with the Hello, Dana underscore Yao. Dana Yao. And I started first with building your craft. Then second, knowing your limits. Okay, emotional security. So, know your limits and take it a day at a time wisely. These three. And lastly, do not compare. Now, the problem in the last part is that our society, the industry, invests on comparison. There are statistics. Ito na lang, no? Just observe. You may not compare your company or your work with outside work or your competitors. Hello, Nina. How are you? How are you, Nina? You may compare yourself to... but the thing is, the necessary evil there is also a sense of comparison within your company. Not only as a co-workers, but statistics. Like, for example, statistics. Here is the result of the first quarter. Here is the result of the third quarter. And last quarter, we are higher than this quarter and things like that. And because of... But that's the nature of work. We cannot avoid it. It's a necessary evil, if I may use the word necessary evil. However, remind yourself from time to time that even if the comparison, if your nature of work is based on comparison, statisticians, analysts, and things like that, but at the end, look back, return to your core, and remember that at the end, you must not compare yourself to others, because you must not compare. You have your own journey. You have your own experience. You have your own trail. You have your own upbringing, and the reason, and other people's growth is fast because there are situations that made it fast. In your case, you have your own journey. If you grew 5 years late, do not be frustrated that you are 5 years late. Compare to other people. As long as you know that you have done your part and that you have done your best, that is, personally speaking, good enough. Of course, there are work that gives you, that expects you to do nothing less than good. There are other companies who are like that. Now, if you can stand the pressure, then so be it. You stand the pressure of statistical comparisons from time to time, but that is work. That is plain work. And however, at the end, it's still a sense of emotional security if you feel to yourself that I'm a person, I'm a unique individual, and as a unique individual, comparing myself too much with other people will just lead me to unnecessary frustrations. And these unnecessary frustrations must be that you become emotionally insecure. No wonder if a new guy comes in, you project that kind of bullying, you project being a bully or being confident and things, that being projection of confidence, but deep inside you're emotionally insecure. And in order to avoid that, and don't compare yourself to others. Instead of comparing yourself to others, be happy with that person's achievement. And if you cannot be happy with that person's achievement, just move past other people's life. And this is for your own emotional security, mind you. So don't compare yourself to others. Although, again, you may say that this is a bit problematic, Ian, because I am at work where comparison is for black pass, statisticians, marketing researcher, and also even the simple warehouse operations, because you need to sustain that good product from time to time, and there but again, that is a healthy form of comparison. It's a necessary form of comparison. What I'm trying to say is yung personal comparison, the personal comparison, which is not healthy, and it develops emotional insecurity. And by the way, we may compare, we have that comparison, we may not know where that person is coming from. Like for example, wow, that person is so good in these talents that I also have. He's much better. But we do not know his journey. We do not know his journey. And we do not know where he coming from. Or if I may put it this way, he may have that above par skills, but it is because it's life's way of giving him a sunshine, diba? It was given, that gift, that success, that above par skills are given to him as nature's way of saying that life is good to you. And in your case, you have your own journey, you have your own life telling you that life is good to you. And on that note, you are reminded from time to time that you are your own person. And by developing this, this will not happen overnight. As I mentioned to Miss Annalyn, all of my speeches is about not being not being I call this, what if management pushes for competition amongst people? That is the problem nga that I wanted to talk about. Thank you very much for that question. What if management pushes for competition amongst people? This is the problem, and another problem that develops is that we tend to not to remind ourselves from time to time that work. I remember a Spanish quotation. Yo vivo, trabajo vivar, no vivo trabajar. Okay, I repeat, trabajo vivar, pero no vivo trabajar. We must consciously remind ourselves that we work to live, not live to work. So if management pushes us for competition amongst people, take it as work. We must take it as work. And now, pushes for competition amongst people. A little competition can bring out the best in you. Yeah, okay. I agree also with, this is good, may mga interaction, just keep on pulling. A little competition brings out the best in you. Yes, that's the thing, a little competition. There is this thing called healthy, a little competition or of sort, but at the end, you must remind yourself from time to time that since this is work, you must treat this as work, and remind yourself from time to time that this is the reason why, if we remind ourselves of this don't compare mantra, we can compete without being too deadly, if I use the word, Ron and Miss Annalyn. So you do not want to do you understand what I'm trying to say now? By reminding yourself from time to time that you do not want to compare yourself in order to build that emotional security, this becomes your buffer zone. This becomes your personal reminder that if we become competitive, we will not hurt people. So what if management pushes for competition against people? Okay, I I will deal with this question now. What if management pushes for competition amongst people? I remember one story This is the problem is long term. Hello, Adrian, by the way. Hello, Adrian. Are you still there? Uh, yeah, so what if I remember one time in an organization, they developed this sense of competition amongst groups. Uh, the best presentations, the funniest presentations, the most tear-jerking presentations. Those three. I was young back then. I was 20 plus. I was in my early 20s or mid 20s back then. And at first it's fun. Totoo. Miss Annalyn can attest that since that is a sort of a little competition, it's fun. But it went overboard. And people began wanting for more. And that is not being healthy. And at the process, at the long run, that kind of the culture of competition, I'm not talking about little competition, that culture of competition resulted in that organization being somewhat being driven to the wrong light, to the point that one of its long-time mentors were pushed away. So that's nakukuha niyo yung long-term effect nun, Ron and Miss Annalyn, yung when competition goes overboard. Okay, I hope that you're figuring out the answer to the question, because I admit, Ron and Miss Annalyn, that these questions your question, Ron, requires a lengthy answer. But because it also deals with management being in the... Wow, thank you. Yes, you help a lot. Wow. Kasi it's still work. Remind ourselves that it is still work. Yun nga, Miss Annalyn, Sir Ron, we remind ourselves that it is still work. There are still competition. Like I mentioned before, it's a necessary evil. It's unavoidable. But if we have this mantra or an attitude that of not comparing oneself, if you have this kind of mantra and competition comes in, you will not be a brutal competitor. You will still be a humane competitor. Why? Because you do not want comparison. You see the correlation. Do you understand, guys and gals, the correlation? Look, the most competitive people are people. The most competitive people are usually the people who thrives into comparisons. Do you agree? The most competitive people are the ones who always who is into... Hello, Bruce Sang. And people who are not into comparison, usually there's a correlation to that. There's a indirect correlation that if you are not much of a comparative person, I said much, I didn't, comparative person, it is indirectly correlated to how do I put this? If you are competitive, one of the indicators are you compare yourself to others, because competition should be stemmed from something, right, Miss Annalyn? Competition should be stemmed from something. To put it in Tagalog, may panghuhugutan talaga yung competition. Like, for example, you belong to the same company, you belong to the same job description. Doon pa lang there's a basis for that can be a source of competition. Also, another product, another company with the same product, another form of competition, another form where competition thrives. Now, when we imbibe that much, We vibe in that much of a. I'm not. Don't get me wrong, guys and gals, guys and ladies and gentlemen. Do not get me wrong on this, but I do not discourage competition. I myself can be a little competitive at times, especially in office games, especially in office games, and when there's this moment, and then once competition is over, uh, the one who compares himself too much to others, or vice versa, they tend to not to be good sport when it comes to losing. And if you have that, and if you still have that sense of comparison, sense of over comparison, kasi like Ron is asking, I also cannot, I do not, I want to be ethical about this, because since management, I do not know where management comes from when it comes to their competition. They pushes people to compete with each other, amongst people. My personal take, okay lang Miss Annalyn and everybody here, if I can mention my personal take, that I believe, parang ganun. I believe that if you wanted to work well as a leader, you need to make your team united. And when you say unity, you don't force unity by forcing themselves to unite each other unless their job description says so. You can only manage unity in an organization when you do not develop a sense of your competition should be towards your competitors. But if you're inside the management system, my personal position is you work as a team. I hope you got my point now. So, as in an organization, you work as a team, because united you stand. The old saying, united we stand, divided we fall. And there is strength in numbers, although it was being debated by some if truly there is strength in numbers. But in wisdom, there is, if you are united on your goals. And you are united in your goals, and if you're united with your goals, kasi that's a problem nga with with the organization that I got connected more than a decade ago, is that they developed this competition, this sense of competition when it comes to presentations and things like that. And because of this, people began going to this group, not to this group. This group, not to this group. What happened? Hello, Estelle. How are you, Estelle? Do you picture it? Do you picture it? Because of comparison, and then if they lose, their self-esteem was lost as well, because they feel that they started comparing themselves. Because why? Because of a certain level of competition that is not healthy enough. That is no longer healthy. And an unhealthy competition develops disunity as well. Although, hello Miss Annalyn again. Although I admit that that I still need the science to back this up. Oh, it's okay, Miss Annalyn. So okay, it happens. This connection happens from time to time. Hello, Andrew Max. Hello. A sense of competition for me personally, in my personal take, is that if you belong to one organization, you must work as a team. And by working as a team, meaning you as a manager must not put a sense of competition amongst yourselves. because people can be nasty at times. People can be nasty at times when it comes to personal competitions, and at the long run, at the process, your organization, your organization might it may bring results. Oh, our income is pouring because we are competing. Sales are coming out. Sales are spiking up because people are competitive with the sales because we give them certain amounts of incentives. So, well, the thing is, you are working in one company, and you're working in one company. Since you're working in one company, all of the profits at the end, the proceeds will go to the company. And that company, if ideally, you will, of course, you will have the same amount of pay, you will have the same amount of salary. That's a difference. But there are good companies. There are good companies that, despite they are being small and medium scale entrepreneurs, or small and medium scale macro and small or medium scale enterprise, they will give incentives. That's my personal position, Miss Annalyn. Although I also go into sense of competition. Hello, Aliana De Jesus. How are you? So that's only my personal take on the matter. I mentioned personal take because I do not have the science or the study to back this up. But my personal position is you go for uniting unity. You go for certain unity, and you do this by not making your own team compete with each other, except for parlor games, except for sports fest. Okay yun, except for sports fest, masaya yun. If you want to see me in my competitive form, put me in the defensive position in the basketball. And despite my short height of 5 feet 6 inches, I weigh 200 pounds. Go figure. And that is a form of competition, I guess. But competing one with another inside an institution, we have other competitors. We have competitors in company. And this leads us, and because going back before I got sidetracked very much, this form of competition leads to comparison. Hello, Erickson. Kumusta? Ayun. Kumusta, Erickson? This competition leads to comparison because we lost because they have this. We don't have. The implication is, they won because he has this. So the implication there, ladies and gentlemen, is I don't have that. Now that's where comparison comes in, and when that happens, if left unchecked, emotional insecurity comes in. And the thing is, this emotional insecurity will make you a toxic person at the long run, and you do not want to be a toxic person, right? You may feel sad and all, but you do not want to be called a toxic person. Because of unhealthy comparison with another person, you develop that sense of insecurity, and at the process, you develop at the process as a public speaker, lalabas tong insecurity na to. This emotion insecurity will appear whether you admit it or not if you do not check this out. I remember one time, this is not a public speaker, this is a performer. And because of his lack of emotional security, he tends to make jingles, he tends to, the sessions, I will not mention the name of the celebrity. And then he begins, that's a giveaway. He begins to mention some punchlines that are somewhat off. But the bottom line is his lack of emotional security in the events that happened to him. If lalabas yun it will surface from time to time, no? Now, if you if you are if you are an emotionally secured person, comparisons may be there, competition will be right and left, but at the end, deep down, you know that you are your own person. Again, let me wrap this up. I hope that I hope that I have helped you in one way or the other. Build your craft. Number one, build your craft. Second, know your limits. These all are encapsulated into one body or Venn diagram, or should I say Venn diagram. It is don't compare. You build your craft, but do not compare. But do not compare your craft to others while building it. This is the pitfall of some people who ended up soap operatic. Nagiging soap operatic yung success nila. And once they are successful, I will show you someday that I will be that you are that it's your loss. You know what the line na it's their loss, not mine. It's also, hello Tita Cheryl. It's also, by the way, hi Tita Cheryl, don't worry, I'm just parked. I cannot I cannot do this inside my office. So I'm just parked inside my car. I can't do this session inside my office. As you can see, I'm parked inside an industrial compound. So I cannot be inside doing this. And besides, we have a newly high quality assurance person. So I do not want to project it in this manner. I don't want to send the wrong message. No? So yun. So again, build your craft. Know your limits. Take it a day at a time, wisely. And ultimately, in all of these three, don't compare. And if you remind yourself from time to time, your emotional security will build on. Yes, salamat for the lessons. Ay, thank you din po. Thank you, Ron, for listening, and also for my intention is for people to add value to other people, and thank you that you appreciated it very much. Ayun, again, build your craft, know your limits, take it a day at a time wisely, and don't compare. Always remember, you are your own person, your own journey. There are competitions right and left. You cannot avoid it. It's a necessary evil. Like crying ouch every time you need to disinfect a wound. That like mangga and bagoong. Like mangga and bagoong. That's inevitable. And also bamboo shoots, there is a food that has bamboo shoots on it. If you do not like it, it's a necessary evil and things like that. But at the end, you are your own person. You know yourself. You know your limit. You know your journey, and have that sense of emotional security. And once you have that emotional security, I'm not saying arrogance, emotional security, you as a public speaker, you as a trainer, you as a manager, you as an employee, it will shine for others to see. You will be a good influencer. Just not only by your skills, but because you are an emotionally secured person. So that's it. Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you very much, everybody. This is Ian Along, and hello, Adrian again. And thank you very much, everybody. This is Ian Along. This is your mentally random Ian. My stories, my take in random order. Have a nice day. Questions? Before I leave, questions? For lunchtime. Do you have any more questions? Or do you have other insights? Anyone? Okay, so there it seems